All right, so I wanted to together a video for you, basically explaining what AP Physics is and seeing if it's a course you want to take or not. I wanted you to be as well informed as you possibly can before signing up for it. So first of all, we need to talk about what is AP Physics, and it stands for Advanced Placement Physics, which is fancy for college level physics. It's set up by the College Board, the same people who create and distribute the SATs, and it's designed in a way that there's a standard curriculum that every AP Physics teacher follows, and that's true for any AP course. And it's to try to ensure that every student that is in the course is getting similar expectations and similar uh, requirements in the curriculum. It is algebra based with laboratory integration. There is a ton of algebra in the class. And the course has three main components. I try to work in at least one lab per unit, and there's a test at the end of each unit. And in addition to the labs, there will also be a ton of algebra based classwork and homework. It'll be the same or very similar units to what I teach in my conceptual course, except now I'm adding the math into them that works behind the scenes to prove why red light bends bends less than violet light, that proves why acceleration occurs and accurately predicts how long a car will take to stop. Things like that. My teaching style is the same. Some of you may view that as a pro, some of you may view it as a con. My mental organization isn't great, so that's still going to be there. But I try to be more rigid with the time frame, which means that we will continue working through the units in the time frames that I have laid out. For the most part, if I need to slow down, I will, and if I can speed up, I will. But the way I explain things isn't going to change. I come up with new tricks as I go along, but my brain isn't changing rapidly. So what are my goals for the course? I have two main goals. Really, I have one main goal, and that's to prepare students for college physics and sciences. And if you plan on going into any science-based major, whether it's the medical field, biology, physics, engineering, even computer science, you will have to take probably 2 years of physics in college. And it is a rude awakening the first time you take a college physics course, whether it's AP Physics here or Physics 1 in college. The expectations are much stronger, the math is much more involved, and it requires a ton of time management, which I'll elaborate more later, but I want to best prepare you for that class. I personally struggled with AP Physics when I took it in college. I was close to failing out of it. But when I took physics in college, I was running circles around the rest of the class because I got enough out of it in high school that I was prepared for it, and more prepared than a lot of the people I was in classes with in college. And that just gave me a ton of confidence, and that's one of the goals. The other one is to prepare students for an optional exam at the end of the year. You will have the option at the end of the year to take the AP Physics exam if you want to. Again, completely optional. And some students do want to do this, and I'll discuss the pros for that. Actually, I might as well discuss that now. No, I'll discuss in the next slide. But that's not my major goal for the course. I obviously will cover the major core units that you will be expected to know, and because the curriculum is standardized by College Board, I will prepare you for the general concepts, but that's not my main goal of the course, and it never will be. So, what are the positives? Obviously, it'll prepare you for all college sciences and I think math classes too, because it prepares you for the skills of how to pick out important pieces of information. Uh, like I said before, it can be a huge confidence booster to sink your teeth into something that you are struggling with, which at the beginning of each unit, you probably will struggle because it's new concepts, new things to pay attention to, new equations, new lessons. And hopefully by the end of each unit, as long as you stick with it, it's very rewarding, at least for me, to see, oh my gosh, I had no idea what this was, and now I feel decent at it. I think there's something rewarding in that. And like I said before, if you do plan on going to college, I think you're better off struggling in high school than you are in college, especially with everything else you'll have going on in your life, your other college classes, in that if you struggle with AP Physics in high school, it's okay. Or at least it's more okay than the stakes are less high, I think. I think you have more time to do it. You have me to help work you through it. And if you're struggling with it in college, you might get stuck. GPA and class rank, and technically that's weighted GPA. I know at our school the weighting for an AP course is 1.5, which will bring your GPA up as long as you get an A in it, which will affect your class rank and could potentially help with scholarships. I don't really want to get too into that because that's not my top priority, but if you are trying to be in the top ranked students in the school, you should take a lot of AP courses, or as many as you possibly can, to outperform your classmates. I hate the idea of that, but I do know that scholarships matter and class rank plays a role in that. If you do have more questions about that, I strongly encourage you to ask your counselor because they'll be able to work with you and show you how those calculations are done so you can be best informed before signing up for all of your courses moving forward. But that is something you should be thinking about in your ninth grade year is what are my goals by the end of high school? Where do I want to be? And how can I get there? It could be a potential science credit, but don't plan on it. If you get a 3 or better out of 5 on the AP Physics exam, some colleges will accept it, but it varies based on the college. I know that a local school, Shippensburg, does take a 3 or better, but the average score on AP Physics exams is always the lowest for all of the AP courses across the country. It's the lowest average exam because the course is challenging. There's a lot that goes into it. It's hard. It's hard to get a 3. It's even harder to get a 4 or a 5. And in fact, the questions on the exam are so hard that averaging a 60% is a 5 out of 5. And the average last year for AP Physics 1, I believe, was a 1.7. So getting a 3 is a tremendous achievement. And even if you do get a 3, a lot of colleges don't take it. And if you do get it, if you plan on majoring in physics, I strongly encourage you don't use that to get out of college physics anyway, because I think you will benefit from retaking the course in college, because then you'll see how that school is teaching Physics 1, which will better prepare you for their Physics 2 or their modern physics, and everything just builds on it. So if you are majoring in physics, I wouldn't use this to get out of it. But you can use it to again, this is college dependent. You would have to check with the college. Some colleges will allow you to use it for one of your general science credits. So you might use it to get out of astronomy. Maybe you don't care about the stars and the sun and how they revolve around each other. This could get you out of it in some colleges. It's worth 1.5 science credits. So if you're trying to get an extra science credit to graduate, there are plenty of easier science classes that you can take. I wouldn't recommend this for that purpose. I think it's way too involved if you're just trying to get enough science credits to graduate, unless you really want a challenge. Cons, if you feel these are cons, but I don't know that I think all of these are necessarily cons. Number one, it is a large time commitment. Some nights you will go home with an hour and a half of homework. I try to limit the longer homework assignments that I give, but there will be nights where you will be working. And if you want to really do well, you should be going back and practicing previous homework assignments that you struggled with after we go over them in class. So that way you go from getting through the assignment to I'm good at that material. So it is a large time commitment, and the class is very quicksandy. And what I mean by that is, I'm sure you figured this out in your math classes, they build on each other. Because this is an algebra-based class, if you fall behind, you are going to continue to struggle and struggle and struggle more, to the point where I have had students shut down in the class because they just can't keep up. So if you are the type of student that shuts down and you're going to continue shutting down and it's not something you're working on, I wouldn't recommend this class, because you're going to fall behind. And partially because I don't have time to catch you up with and hold 28 other students up, that responsibility to catch yourself up falls on you. Obviously, if you come to me with a question, I will do my best to help you and work with you. But the course does have that quicksand aspect where if you do fall behind, you have to catch yourself up as quickly as possible or you're toast. And it is very algebra based. So this is just a small sample of the equation sheet. You will have to learn all of these equations, and a lot of them build on each other. So for example, right here we have the centripetal acceleration that has velocity and radius. Well, first of all, you might have to use this equation that's in Unit 1 to calculate the velocity. So the course does build on itself, especially AP Physics 1. AP Physics 2 does as well, but not nearly to the extent. AP Physics 2 more has fresh starts at the beginning of each unit. But there's a lot of equations, and you will have to be able to manipulate them and work them around. But I will spend time going through what each variable in each of these equations means. For example, in AP Physics 1, those first three equations explain motion and how fast a car is going and how long it'll take to stop and the acceleration of it. We spend a month going over just those first three equations and practicing with them. So it's not like you're going to jump in and immediately be expected to use this entire equation sheet. The goal of the course is, by the end of the year, understand how to use every equation on the sheet. And you will not have to memorize them. You will always have this equation sheet available to you. You probably will know most of them by heart by the end, though. I actually covered all of those. It is a test-based course. And the tests are difficult. For my tests, I do use College Board questions. And they are ruthless. Like I said, 60% is an A. For that reason, I do absolutely curve the tests. And if you're more interested in that, I can go into more detail on how I curve them in a way that I think is most fair to everyone. But I don't necessarily feel this is a con, because if you are planning on going to college, you are going to have to take exams. And again, I feel like you're better off getting practice with timed exams now than waiting until college when the stakes are higher. like I said before, it is a time commitment. There is a fair amount of homework, and the class is year round during sixth period this year, and that's subject to change. But that seems like it's been that way for a very long time for me. So if you are in Votech and you're there for half the year, you would have to be more on top of your work and stay on top of your work so that you can go over there, get your work done, come over to my class in the middle of the day to be involved in class because I do cover important concepts. And if you miss what we cover in class, it's going to be on you to get caught up, and it's going to be hard to get caught up. Um, and then after class, you would head back to Votech. And the other part of practicing of time commitment is what I said before, is the practicing aspect of it. If you struggle on a concept, you can't just roll on to the next unit and hope it's going to be okay. Because of that quicksand, you will fall behind. So you are going to have to plan time out where you can go back and look at previous units and lessons. And the course will at times be very discouraging. At the beginning of each unit, you will feel lost. It's not like history class where you can walk in and know the things going on. It's a new language, it's new letters that you haven't seen before, it's new things that you have to pay attention to in every problem you're looking at, and it's new thoughts that you probably haven't had before. So at the beginning of each unit, it is very discouraging. But I also think that most of these things on this page are actually pros. Yes, it's discouraging, but I feel like that reward of knowing what's going on at the end of the unit is very encouraging and rewarding. And yes, it's a huge time commitment, but I think it helps you get better with your time management skills. It's a test-based course, and the tests are hard, but you'll be better prepared for future hard tests. And it is quicksandy, but that teaches you to bail yourself out of tough situations. All right, so when should you take it? And there's a lot of factors that roll into this. And it's up to you to listen to the factors and variables and determine what's best for you. So if you do decide you want to take it, pay attention, think through this, and decide what's best for you. Number one, it is extremely challenging as a 10th grader. Your math skills are less developed. Your ability to fight through a struggle are less developed. And your self-esteem and confidence are not as high as they will be in later years. But that being said, it is doable. I currently have a 10th grader in my course this year that is has performed the best on several of the tests. So it is absolutely something doable, but you need to be motivated and you need to be willing to struggle and fight your way back. And another factor you need to consider is there are two courses, AP Physics 1 and AP Physics 2. And they are non-consecutive, so that means you don't have to take them in order. You can take 1 and then 2, or you can take 2 and then 1, or you can take just 1 or just 2, depending on what you're looking to get out of it. And I'll outline those courses up at the top. AP Physics 1 is basically the visible stuff, all of the things you've seen in the world. Kinematics, which is motion, how things move. Dynamics is forces. So AP Physics 1 is basically look at the world, seeing things that move and how they move, and using algebra to calculate and predict what the acceleration of a falling object will be and how much torque is necessary to rotate an object. AP Physics 2 is more modern physics, more the invisible physics. And that covers how fluid and pressure flows. It covers heat and pressure. It covers electricity and electrons and magnetism and light and quantum physics, or the nucleus of an atom. And at the top, I wrote odd years and even years. That tells you what years they start. So in the 22-23 school year, that's an even year because it starts on 22, I'll be teaching AP Physics 2. In the odd years, I'll be teaching AP Physics 1. So 23, 24, 25, 26, then I will be teaching AP Physics 1. I do think it's much easier to do them in order of 1, 2, but I've had plenty of students take them in the opposite order and they've been fine. So even though it is easier that way, I don't think it's really a deal breaker if that's one of your concerns. Other considerations you need to think about is as you get closer to graduation in your senior year, you might be taking college classes, which means you might have senior privilege and not be in school, and you might not want to come to school to take an AP physics class. So maybe you want to take them earlier in 10th and 11th grade. You want to also consider how many other hard classes are you taking. If you're loading up with 4 or 5 AP classes, you are going to be overwhelmed with work. Or maybe you plan on spreading out your harder classes. You want to take AP Physics early so that way you can take college classes or other AP classes in your junior and senior year. Vo-Tech I already touched on, and also as you get older, you'll have maybe more job commitments. You might have more hours at your job. And again, this class is a time management class as much as it is anything else. So I hope that helped. I hope that gives you a better idea of if you want to take it. And if you do have any questions, please at any point come talk to me, ask me questions. You can even write it in a comment down below and I'll try to get to it. And I would strongly encourage you to talk to students who are currently taking the class with any questions you might have. You can come in during my second mentor period any day and ask the students in there what their honest thoughts are on the class. And I always encourage them to be completely honest about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if you watched all of this, thank you, and I hope you got something out of it, and have a great night. Thanks. Bye.